An awesome day, thanks to our dear friend Andrew Lessman, and last series of hours for the year, of course, broadcasting live. You have pulled out all the stops for these today's specials.
Well, we needed to because it is the last visit of the year. I read the feedback, and there were a number of products that had been today's specials in the past that really were great candidates that we neglected. So we were looking at things in November. That's how short we plan these things, and whether or not we could produce enough vitamin K2 MK7, enough vitamin D, enough calcium magnesium intensive care, also enough ultimate women's wellness and prostate support to have them all be sort of mini today specials. And we were able to do so. We produced everything in just the last few weeks, and we've already sold through all of the vitamin K2 MK7 we had, and we're back. We're producing more for you as we speak. The same thing with our vitamin D. So we're going to make sure that we have enough product to last until midnight. But when it comes to K2, when it comes to the vitamin D, it's going to be a close call, but we'll make it.
It is indeed. Of course, if you haven't met him, he makes the world's finest vitamins. Andrew Lessman is here with not one or two, but 5 today's specials. But this vitamin K has been taking everybody by storm today.
Well, and it should. It's been a long time in coming. I've been discussing it for over a decade. It usually takes about 20 years before the other companies catch up and something becomes more commonly found in, say, grocery stores or health food stores or the discount stores. But we make everything ourselves. So for me, we scour the research, and we identified vitamin K2 almost 20 years ago as being something extremely potentially important. We then analyzed the research, we analyzed the creation of a product, we put it through our product development cycle, and about a dozen years ago we started offering it. And ever since that time, since we originally identified it, the research has only continued to roll in. So all of us, most people think I must take vitamin K2 if I'm supplementing calcium. Well, if you're not supplementing calcium, it means you're getting calcium from your diet. You obviously have calcium in your bones. If there's calcium in your bones, that reservoir of calcium in your bones, there's always a risk of that calcium constantly, especially as we grow older, going somewhere else. And that's somewhere else that we don't want it to go. It's in our arteries, because that calcification of our arteries, it's one of the most significant signs of aging of our arteries and one of the most significant problems associated with aging of our cardiovascular system and cardiovascular risk. So vitamin K2 MK7, not only does the science talk in depth about the benefits to the health and integrity and strength of our bones and skeleton, but it talks even more emphatically, and to me even more excitedly, about the benefits to our cardiovascular system. Because having a healthy cardiovascular system, most people think, it means having a healthy heart. To me, what it really means, the health of your heart is really all about keeping your coronary arteries healthy, keeping your heart valves healthy, your aorta healthy, and that's all about making sure those tissues are strong and flexible and resilient. What those coronary arteries, the forces they have to withstand over the course of our lifetime, and things like calcification and plaque formation, it's kind of our body's imperfect response to the stresses that they're forced to endure. But vitamin K2 MK7, what it does, it actually, and I'll read some quotes, it actually reverses the process of calcification in those tissues. It can actually do that. I think what they used, it's not a very scientific word, but one of the clinical studies talked about de-stiffening of arteries. So again, and what really is perfect timing, fortuitous timing, it just so happens today, December of 2019, Consumer Reports, not what you'd think about as a publication that even thinks about, contemplates, talks about vitamins or anything like that. They talked about the importance of vitamin K. It actually wasn't a terribly scholarly article in that they really didn't understand the difference between vitamin K, which is about blood clotting, and vitamin K2 MK7, which is about skeletal integrity and cardiovascular health. But what they did understand is that vitamin K poses a serious health risk, and that most of us don't have adequate levels of vitamin K. So it's exciting that it's starting to trickle into the mainstream for me, because I know what that means. I've seen it with glucosamine when I introduced it 40 years ago. I saw it with vitamin... I saw...
Oh dear, it's like Dad is not paying attention.
Am I not paying attention to you? I think.
By the way, meet the boys if you're brand new to HSN.
And then, of course, Lincoln will heard Marcel. So, and then I think what he's trying to tell me is that he completely agrees with what I was saying about vitamin K. You guys, okay, let me give you guys a treat, and then you guys go play. Go play. Go do a rounder. Sit. Okay.
Oh.
Now go play. Go, you
That
guys.
is funny.
But,
see, even Marcel and Lincoln agree.
He was just giving me like a,
He
yeah,
was,
like you
positive
tell them,
affirmation.
actually. So he knows exactly what I was saying. But seriously, when it came to CoQ10, introduced in 1984, probably only became truly popular about 10, 15 years ago. Glucosamine, I introduced that 40 years ago, 1979. Became really popular about 20 years ago. Vitamin D, it's been around forever, but taking higher levels, recognizing that the RDA should change here and everywhere in the world, that's only happened in the last few years. I had a higher level of vitamin D in my multivitamins that I got a lot of flack for. For 40 years we did that. So all of you getting my multivitamins all these years got the vitamin D, the extra vitamin D in the multivitamin. And again, we've been doing that because we follow the science and research. As much as that applies to all those other ingredients, it applies even more so to vitamin K2 MK7. So hopefully you take advantage of the fact that I tried to take away the only barrier to adoption, the only barrier to trying this product, which was price. It's always been an expensive product. Since we introduced it a decade ago, it's come down by probably about a third. But then today, we created a 720 capsule supply, and we lowered the price so it's literally a little more than a dime a day. Getting 100 micrograms, say, if you wanted 100 micrograms 10 years ago, would have cost you about $1 a day. Today, getting 120 micrograms will cost you a little more than a dime a day, so about 1/10 as much. So you'll get 10 days for the price of 1 day a decade ago. So that's what I'm hoping everybody chooses for the health of their heart, for supporting the health of their skeleton, that for these two incredibly, seemingly unrelated benefits, because vitamin K2 MK7, what it does, we all must have calcium. The reservoir is in our bones, but that calcium in our bones determines the strength and integrity of our skeleton. So we must have it, we must consume it, we can't forego it, we can't avoid it. But that calcium also runs a constant risk over the course of all of our lifetimes of leaching gradually little bits of it into other tissues, in particular our arteries. So vitamin K2 MK7 has been shown in clinical studies, numerous studies, to resist, and not only to resist that calcification of the arteries, to actually reverse calcification of arteries. And for me, that's just the most incredible news of all. I'll let Shannon talk for a moment, and then I'll find the clinical studies. The reviews are incredible, but I'll find some clinical studies and actually read you the quotes that talk about the benefits of vitamin K2.
Absolutely. And Andrew's absolutely right. I think a lot of us are having that light bulb moment, and I will have to say, it's great that we're with the manufacturer. He's more than just cute, girls. He makes these for you, and it's a good thing because these are going. So this is your last show where you will see this series of today's specials. Remember, it's a higher potency and it's a size on the capsule count that Andrew has never done. Best price in history for the final quantities and the last show, last series of hours for the year. This is your last show with your today's specials on that vitamin K2 MK7, 30, 60, 180, 360. So if you're new to us, here's where our regular HSN pricing is, and here's where our pricing is today, where the savings are. Okay, if that is not a jaw dropper, I don't know what you're waiting for. I mean, seriously, lowest price ever on a price that, you know, usually it's very expensive, but that is a 2 years supply on that 720 count size.
And initially, when we introduced our vitamin K2 MK7, we had a 50 and a 100 microgram. Right. So this is now 120 micrograms. And the original product we talked about on television was the 50 microgram. So you're now getting 2.5 times as much for a lower cost per capsule. So this is, it's a one-time opportunity. I'm not sure we'll do a Today Special for vitamin K2 next year. Hopefully we will. But regardless, at 1 capsule per day, that large size is a 2-year supply. And the one thing I can guarantee you, if we do a Today Special for vitamin K2 MK7 next year, it will not be this price. Guaranteed, it will not be a lower price. It will be more expensive. It'll still be a bargain. But this is an opportunity that I hope everyone takes advantage of. We only have a limited ability to produce this, and we're pretty much at our limit. We started filling in capsules and sizes, I think, early this afternoon. So we're hopefully going to have enough to last us until midnight. We're just going to have this airing now, a short airing at the end of the second hour, and that will be it. So it will go away, it'll go back to its normal price. So the 720 won't exist, and the 360 will be $129.90 after midnight tonight.
Right.
So the 360 at $129.90 at midnight. Until midnight, you could get twice that.
Right.
It's not buy one, get one free. It's even better.
It's better.
It's like buy one, get 1.5 free.
It really is. And I defer to the expert, of course, but based on what we're seeing, 6 flexible payments, so on that 720 count, you're looking at a little over $16 on your credit card. But when I said that these are going, Andrew is the creator, the manufacturer of the world's finest vitamins. That's why you see his elves hard at work as we do this broadcast from the factory where your vitamins are being made. But I would highly encourage you, whether you saw the Consumer Reports magazine article or whether you're already familiar with Andrew and the world's finest vitamins, definitely now is the time to take action. In particular, I think on that 720 count size, we're probably down to the last 1,000, give or take. We are.
No, we had run out. What we do each time is we hold back a certain number of capsules because we never know exactly how the bottles are going to be ordered. We're pretty close, but never precise. So we hold back a number of capsules to fill the bottles precisely. What we are doing now, we are making more capsules, but we only have a limited amount of material to make it. This is a very specialized material. So when we run out of material, that's when we're done.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to talk about this product. There's a lot to say for the first 30 minutes. We're only going to talk about it probably for about 12 to 15 minutes, simply because I want to make sure we have a little time at the end of the hour for people who tune in the second hour. So my apologies. It's twice as popular as I would have expected, but that's exciting, and that's the whole reason why HSN supported me in offering this incredible price on this incredible product, that a little more than a dime a capsule. If you would have told me when I introduced this a decade ago that we'd have a 120 microgram capsule, not a 20 microgram capsule, at 10 cents a capsule, I would have told you you're crazy. And to think that we're able to do this tonight, it's a great opportunity to try something important. I encourage you to get even more information than I'll be providing here. You can go online. There's not an abundance on vitamin K2 MK7, but if you go sort of to the National Institute of Health, you'll see the clinical studies. You'll see the publications. And you don't need to be a scientist or a doctor to understand the basics of an abstract or summary of the study. You can understand the importance of what they're saying. And we pulled some quotes. So these are direct quotes pulled out of medical journals, scientific journals, and things. These are not things that we're paraphrasing or making up. That's why there's the quotation marks. So this is from the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism. Vitamin D, calcium, and vitamin K2. Those are the 3 products we're talking about as today's specials. Supplementation improves lumbar bone mineral density, something we all want to be concerned about as we age. Thus, the addition of vitamin K2 is essential for good bone health. We already knew about vitamin D. We already knew about calcium. There's hundreds of clinical studies that have proved that. But vitamin K2 is the new part of the equation that I think is as important or even more important than the others. The use of vitamin D and vitamin K2 together as an approach to osteoporosis treatment may significantly reduce morbidity and mortality. It's not a drug, it's not a medicine, it's just how your body naturally goes about absorbing and using calcium. Journal of Nutritional Science and Vitaminology, epidemiological and basic studies. Those are big studies involving populations, and basic studies indicate that vitamin K possesses a benefit in the prevention of the progression of coronary artery calcification. It's sort of a natural process. Our arteries calcify as we get older, but it's a bad process that we really need to avoid. So again, vitamin K. Calcified Tissue International, a journal, the present study revealed more favorable changes in bone metabolism and bone mass indices for the 2 vitamin K supplemented groups. Again, vitamin K improves bone mass, the ability of our bone to produce and integrate calcium. Disease markers, another journal. Observational studies revealed a lower prevalence of arterial calcification and cardiovascular mortality in subjects with a high intake of menaquinones, vitamin K2, and no effect of phylloquinone, which is vitamin K1. Vitamin K1 is old school vitamin K. That's blood clotting vitamin K. Vitamin K2 is all about cardiovascular health, all about bone health. Entirely different molecules, and I could show you on a chart in a moment. But here we go, long-term supplementation with 180 micrograms of menaquinone per day, vitamin K2. This product delivers highly available MK7 at 120, which I believe is more than adequate. If you wanted to take 2, you can, but 1 capsule is plenty. For 3 years, decreased arterial stiffness in healthy postmenopausal women, especially in women with a high arterial stiffness, meaning if you needed the reduced stiffness the most, if you needed the benefit the most, you got the most benefit. Progression of aortic stiffness was related to the severity of vitamin K deficiency.
Can I ask you something, Andrew? So you know how sometimes at a certain point in life you go, oh, it's too late for me. It's too late for me to take care of my arteries. It's too late for me to take care of my bones. It's not too late.
What's fascinating about the vitamin K research, when you're really looking at arterial stiffness, you're generally looking at older subjects.
Right.
So, and usually you think with calcification, calcium's a mineral. You think it's like sculpture. You think it's permanent. It can't be changed. But it shows the vitality, the vibrancy of our body and its tissues, because that calcification can be reversed.
Wow.
So vitamin K2 MK7, that's what it shows in the research. Share this with your doctor. Share this with your cardiologist. This science is in the public domain. Unfortunately, most doctors don't really have the time that I have to be digging through the clinical science and clinical research. They're busy treating patients. They're busy dealing with other things, continuing education, which unfortunately doesn't include nutrition. And sometimes nutrition trumps everything. Sometimes nutrition is the most important thing to focus on. And when it's something simple, this is a little more than a dime a day. It's so incredibly affordable. But from disease markers, concluding, vitamin K, especially K2, enables de-stiffening. They did use that word. That's a very non-scientific word. It is. Enables de-stiffening by impairing and reversing calcification of arteries, suppressing the inflammatory reaction in the vascular wall, and improving the lipid profile. If that's not something that every single person age 30 on up finds exciting, increases their enthusiasm at a dime a day. From Journal of Nutritional Science and Vitaminology, the association between vitamin K status and cardiovascular disease, especially vascular calcification, has been also reported. Cross-sectional and cohort studies show that high vitamin K status is associated with reduced coronary artery calcification, cardiovascular disease, and mortality. One of the big issues here is a lot of folks have to avoid vitamin K because they're taking some of the old school blood thinners. If they're taking some of the new blood thinners, they don't have that issue. Show this product, because this product is vitamin K2 MK7. So show it to your doctor, show it to your cardiologist. It shouldn't present a problem. So again, this is not vitamin K1, it's vitamin K2. And with the newer class of blood thinners, shouldn't be an issue or a problem at all. In fact, even with the older class of blood thinners, there was some great research from 20 years ago that even talked about those who used those blood thinners but who supplemented even old school vitamin K1 established a baseline that wasn't as subject to variation and risks of dietary intake of vitamin K, meaning that it established a more stable baseline instead of being constantly deprived of vitamin K. And as we now see, vitamin K is a critical part of cardiovascular health, not just skeletal health. But again, show it to your doctor if you're taking any of those blood thinners. The newer blood thinners, it's fine, but of course show it to your doctor. It's vitamin K2 MK7, not vitamin K1. And from Alternative Medicine Review, vitamin K2 appears to be important for cardiovascular support, especially blood vessel wall integrity. This study suggests that combining K2 and D3 does have a synergistic effect superior to using either alone. We'll talk about vitamin D in a moment. Hence, vitamin K and vitamin D can mutually enhance each other's metabolism. From the British Journal of Nutrition, thus higher and more stable plasma concentrations were reached with vitamin MK7, with K2 MK7, and MK7 was more effective in carboxylating activated osteocalcin, promoting bone growth. So we know exactly whether it's your arterial walls, whether it's your bone. It's not as though you take vitamin K2 MK7 and it's like, wow, it's a miracle. It just magically, it increases, improves bone integrity and bone strength. It reduces calcification in arteries. It helps to make arteries more flexible. It's not magic. They know exactly why it works. They know exactly how it works. The only question I keep asking myself is why I seem to be the only person really talking about it. And it's always was that way with glucosamine, with, say, CoQ10, with vitamin D. I think most companies are busy selling products into demand. What I try to do is educate and try to educate about things that can make a difference in the quality and the quantity of our life. And vitamin K2 MK7, I look at it just as I did CoQ10 35 years ago. That's a unique opportunity for me to educate in a way, especially vitamin D. When you now look at the research on vitamin D and our long-term risk of health issues as we get older, that if we have a healthy vitamin D levels, the benefits are dramatic. To think that I played a role in helping to educate folks about that and encourage other companies to look at vitamin D differently. Hopefully the same thing will happen to vitamin K2, because as I always say, the most important thing I do here isn't manufacture vitamins. That happens all around us. We make everything, unlike most companies who don't make a thing. They just have others make it for them. So we make everything for you. But the most important thing I do, I recognize for every bottle of vitamin K2 that someone might get here tonight, I would estimate that there's going to be 50 or 100 bottles of vitamin K2 that someone might try to find out on the internet or at a store, and that's not something that makes me feel other than just wonderfully happy, because I know that even if it's not as good as my product, there are going to be benefits that flow from that decision, and that's why I'm here.
Absolutely. Well, we know knowledge is power, and truthfully, the more you know, the more you'll be compelled to take this. I mean, I'm learning, and I know you are too. And not to be alarmist about this, but this is the point during our night where you really do need to take action and make your selection. I should have taken my own advice and ordered this before I got on the air, because this is your last full presentation. We'll do an abbreviated look next hour with whatever's left, but quite frankly, especially on that 720 count size, because that's a 2-year supply. That's where most of us are gravitating toward. If that's the one that you're interested in, and especially if you're sharing it in the family, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter your age, your gender, we all need and want to be taking this, especially in the way and the manner in which Andrew formulates his, higher potency than ever before. We're not doing the 720 count size after midnight. That is your 2-year supply if you're just taking it on your own. Extended holiday return policy, but it is better than a buy one, get one free. Because remember, here's where our pricing goes, and here's where our pricing is today. So you can very clearly see at the stroke of midnight, that 360 count size will be $130 for less than a 2-to-1, like a half off sale. You're getting more capsules.
And just so everybody, I'll take this over here. Just so everyone knows that vitamin K1 and vitamin K2 are entirely different. On the top of the chart is what we're talking about here. That's actually the molecule. All these little angles here, those are carbon molecules. These are methyl groups attached. If you count, there's 7 of them here. That's why it's MK7. This is vitamin K1. This is the vitamin that was discovered in Germany long ago. It's called K because they discovered its relationship to coagulation, to blood coagulation. When you spell coagulation in German, it's spelled with a K. Oh, so that's why it's vitamin K1. This is not about coagulation. This is about the strength and integrity of your skeleton. This is about getting your money's worth on your vitamin D and calcium. This is about making sure that your arteries, which are the most important tissue in your body to keep flexible in terms of longevity, not your skin, not your joints, it's your arteries. And if you keep your arteries flexible, then that is one of the most important earmarks of a youthfully aging body.
Well, and that's what, I want to age gracefully from the inside out, if that is possible.
So, well, that's the key. I've always said I'd rather let the outside go to wherever, as long as the inside is healthy. It's
true, though.
And because that's really where our health is. And I think as we get older, hopefully the issues about vanity, it falls by the wayside. You can only look so good when you get older. So you do the very best you can, but you can't be too healthy. And when it comes to vitamin K2 MK7, for those of you who've watched me on TV for 30 years or followed my company for 40 years, there are a few moments where we've come along with new products that no one else had. that. Circulation and vein support, diosmin, a little over 20 years ago. Vitamin D, emphasizing its importance 40 years ago. B12, the same. CoQ10, 35 years ago. Lutein and zeaxanthin, probably about 20 years ago. Vitamin K2 MK7 around 12 or 13 years ago. And I still emphasize how important it is, and it breaks my heart that it hasn't really been adopted by all but the more serious vitamin companies out there. But I'm blessed with having this, thanks to HSN, having a little soapbox that I get to stand up here and talk about vitamin K2 MK7 for the benefit of this product, but really for the benefit of any vitamin K2 MK7 product you could find on the market, because that's going to be a service to you and your family, the people you love.
Absolutely. I know we've got a lot to get to, because remember, this is just one of the 5 today's specials.
Yes.
And they are telling me the 720 count size is the most popular.